Hey guys, Dino here, and today I'm going to be bringing you the evolution of FPS Gaming, as I see it, of course. So, both on the website and in my various commentaries here, you guys have probably heard me talk a lot about, um, where I started, where I'm at now, but both where video games have started and, where they're at now. And if you're in your early teens, chances are you probably didn't play Battlefield, and you probably didn't play video games, when they were first out. So you lose out on some of that perspective. So that's kind of what I want to do is, give people a chance who weren't around, when FPS games started coming out to, let them see what they used to be like compared to where they are now. Because, I think it lets you evaluate things that much more. So. Anyways, this first game is obviously Battlefield 1942. This is not where I started gaming. This is where I started competitive gaming, more or less. So this is. I want you guys to really notice, look around, and see the differences, compare them in your minds, like the different games that are out there. What I've also done for you is basically we're going to do a timeline. I'm going to go Battlefield 42. I'm going to show you what it's like to play COD, then I'm going to go back to 42 and show you some tanks, then I'm going to contrast those with what you see in Bad Company 2 today, and I'm going to go back and end with some planes. So just to see you guys, or just so you guys can see what vehicles and what the types of games were like. Anyway, like I said before, COD came out essentially. So one of the things I want to well, first let me just say there's not servers around for 42, so this is single player footage. So I'm not amazing. Well, okay, let me take that back. I am amazing, okay, but I'm definitely not this amazing. Although I do, love the idea that I'm so good I can run around and just smash guys with 4 or 5 bullets like that. We all have 0 ping. One of the reasons why 42, I think I've said before, is dead today was basically the addition of Punk Buster. But look at that right there. Like, I'm up in this building, not moving. We all have 0 ping. This is played on a local server, and I couldn't shoot that guy laying down with a full clip. You definitely don't see that in COD. I was looking up the gun stats today to figure out which assault rifle I want to run with, and they take 3 bullets close range, 4 bullets long range. That's how it works. It's crazy, and it doesn't matter where you're shooting them either. So, so one of the things I want you guys to focus on and look at is the level design. So you have a whole lot of different walls and things like that you can use and hide behind, and if somebody's firing at you, you can run behind them, which is fantastic. What you don't have are a whole lot of little nooks and crannies that people can shoot you from. It's all those variables kind of put together that, make COD the game COD is, and make 42 the game 42 is. And like you just saw, he's upstairs, shooting down without assault rifle. It didn't kill the guy, but in COD you have those guns that do a hell of a lot of damage, and unfortunately, unfortunately, I can't figure those words out. You don't have that in here, and that in combination with the levels makes it much less likely that you're going to randomly die. 42 is also way before regenerating health, which I think regenerating health is definitely a good thing. Anyway, yeah, headshots count in this game, chests count for more, legs and stuff count for less. You can see how slow it is to reload something. Knives are definitely not a one-shot kill unless you hit them in the face one more time. I'm still not necessarily a huge fan of the insta-kill knifing in COD. I'm glad they got rid of the lunge in COD Black Ops, but still, I don't know, kind of wish it wasn't there. The knife kills, like in 42, when you knife somebody, it was kind of like this humiliation. If you were knifed, it basically meant you were standing still, or you let somebody sneak up behind you and knife you, and you're kind of an idiot for doing that. If you get knifed in COD, it's not embarrassing at all. It's an amazingly easy way to kill someone, super efficient too. So, like I said, notice that these levels are, like I said, much more, less niches, less alleyways, less, 3-story buildings to hide out in. The difference is you can use that terrain to your advantage when you're playing, as opposed to it being used against you. That in combination with the way these guns work, even though they do look like they kill a little fast on here, I admit, but these guys are all going prone and we all have 0 ping. So anyway, the difference is you can see me getting shot and I can get away no problem. So now we're going to go over to COD, and this is COD, you know, as we know it today. So right off the bat, you can just see, I mean, look at how, you know, how detailed just the graphical engine are of this game. You know, there's so much just more to look at. You know, everything was much more plain compared to, you know, in 42. You know, we're still capping flags like that, but as you see, these levels, you know, they're definitely sticking me down a corridor here. There's not this, you know, box set up and I get to choose how I'm getting to the other side. You know, they're definitely different avenues and they're funneling my way through. Like, I have basically 3 different routes to get through to the other side here. I don't have, you know, infinite routes ad nauseum depending on how I choose to play. So that's a huge difference. And then, you know, we just crossed, you know, I mean, we just walked through a spot where you can camp out in numerous different places. There goes the guy out the window. You know, I just dropped down a claymore. I mean, there's his motion sensor, or it just disappeared. I'm gonna go Rambo style, capture this flag real quick. You know, all the different grenades that are going off, it's a lot more going on. It's a lot more to take in, and, you know, like I said, the way these levels are set up, how much more complex they are in combination with how fast the guns are able to kill, and basically just makes it very, very easy for you to be, I don't want to say randomly killed, but it's very, very hard for you to avoid being killed like that. And then oftentimes when you are killed, you don't take away anything from that experience. You're not like, well, shit, you know, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. That was definitely the case in 42. When you died, you felt like it was your fault. You knew you made a mistake. You got overeager. You were, you know, too aggressive, or you're sitting out in the open so that guy could see you. But, you know, here, almost everywhere you go, there's a place for a guy to be on a level above you and shooting down at you, and there's just no way to avoid fire like that at all times. And, you know, even on top of that, and then, you know, we haven't factored in all the different kill streaks and things like that, that oftentimes there's also nothing you can do. I mean, fucking remote controlled race car bombs, all that garbage. So, you know, this game's, I mean, basically it's not surprising, you know, as games go on, they get more complex, they add newer and more features, you know, it makes sense. But, you know, adding features for the sake of adding features isn't necessarily a great thing. And yeah, so, I don't know, not that some of the things that COD has done, you know, is not great, but, you know, it's definitely a huge, huge difference from a few years ago. The last big difference, you know, obviously, as you can see on your screen, is the radar. Absolutely huge. God forbid we have Blackbird at the moment like we do. That's ridiculous. So anyway, now I want to show you, oh, real quick. No, not real quick. So you can see obviously on my map right now we have no radar. It's in a different position. All I see, well, we have radar as far as I can see my own teammates, but you cannot see the enemy team. You have to figure out where they're coming from, and that was one of the massive differences in telling a good player from a bad player, is who knows the map well, and who was aware of their surroundings enough to know where they're being shot at. You do get hit markers to tell you what general location enemy is firing from, but the big difference is you don't get hit markers on your radar showing you where they're shooting you from. It's a huge skill equalizer, and I think until, you know, radar is always there, it's going to be really, really tough to both have consistently good scores and to separate the goodies from the baddies. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is, real quick, only a COD, I didn't manage to cover it, is the spawn time. You know, Battlefield has a spawn timer, you know, it's somewhere between, I think matches were like 7 to 10 seconds. So essentially what that means is if you died, that spawn timer continually counts down from 10 to 7. And if you die, depending on where you die at, you have anywhere from 7 to 10 seconds before you can spawn in again. You know, the idea and reasoning behind this is if you didn't have that, there would be no way to take a flag. You know, you just have guys spawning in continually again and again and again, which can easily be a problem in COD domination. And depending on how you're working your way around the map, as a result of having some of the spawns that they do, you know, it's really not uncommon for dudes to spawn right behind you. So now we're going to hop over and I want to show you this is where tanks are at today. This is technically a battlefield game. So the first thing you notice is just look at the screen. There is so much shit just thrown onto the screen. And I don't know that it necessarily makes for a better gameplay experience. One of the things I just should have pointed out to you when you were just watching the tanks fire off in 42, especially the Sherman tanks have an arc to them. And the tanks in this, obviously I'm not laser beaming this tank down, but, or I'm sorry, helicopter down, but it's so far away and I'm coming really close. I don't have a whole lot of hours in this game. I mean, like 3 or something. It was about enough for me to decide I hated it. I've definitely shot him down before. I've been shot down before. Yeah, the range on these tanks is disgusting, and you know, basically this clip will show you what I'm talking about here in a few minutes. But just look around at the screen, like, what is all this bullshit? Like, it doesn't add anything. I mean, I guess, you know, if realism equated directly to fun, like, this should be the best game in the history of fucking video games, and that's not the case. You know, one of the arguments I definitely don't like is, you know, well, guns really work this way, this is what happens when you shoot somebody in the RL. Well, like, if you really want that, go join the fucking Marines, I guess, but, you know, it doesn't necessarily make for a fun gameplay experience. You know, I don't really like the map. I just feel like they put too much stuff on the map, and it doesn't necessarily, you look at to me, and I look down at it, and to me, you can make sense of it, but, you know, I can't zoom out like you saw me do in the other mini-map on Battlefield 42. I can pull up the big map and take a look at that. Instead, they opted to go for like this weird stuff where you see design layout, where you see all this shit on your main screen, but it's off on corners. You know, there it is off on the right side now. You can highlight a vehicle and hit N or whatever it is, and you know, everyone on the entire field can see them no matter where they're at. It just seems like a fucking disaster. I was really pissed off that I missed that helicopter there. That was inexcusable, but as a result of nerfing helicopters and taking away their maneuverability, we crashed into the stone pillar there. So that's also a new added feature. Your tank goes fucking black when you're getting shot. A lot of fun. Love realism. So, you know, I guess I don't want to think, I don't know, I guess it's a possibility that maybe I'm just, you know, bitching, you know, hey, whatever, glory days are gone or something like that. But to me, like, this just doesn't give me the satisfying experience that I had like in 42, because in 42, you know, I could figure out where people are shooting at me from. I knew when I died it was my fault. Right now you can see that tank highlighted on my map. He has absolutely no chance. I'm going to stuff it up his ass here in a few seconds. If I'm not highlighted, there's nothing he can do, and because I shoot a fucking laser beam, there's no way I can miss. You know, what was his mistake in this? Like, what is he going to take from this? You know, there's nothing that he could have done differently other than, you know, I don't know, pray that somebody doesn't highlight him. That's all he could have done. Well, I didn't highlight him. Somebody else did. I knew where he was at. He's dead. Game over. Go me. So, like I said, just not a huge fan of all the skill equalizers. And to me, there seems like there's so much stuff going on screen, and these weapons have so much range to them that it's incredibly difficult to, you know, it can be difficult to either both take people down and to keep from being taken down, because people are able to drop you from such range. So you can see shots streaking in from all over the place, and yes, I've decided to just suicide. Play this game enough to know that tanks aren't supposed to go in and take points. As you can see, killed by another tank on top of a mountain. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys was, this is how planes were in 42. I wanted to contrast them with the way basically planes are now, which is most planes are jet planes. Battlefield had a very popular mod called Desert Combat. Desert Combat was popular for similar reasons as COD is popular. It basically dumbed things down so that anybody could do them. So basically, when I played 42, I was infantry, then I moved to being like more of a tanker, and towards the end of it, I worked on being a pilot, and any piloting skills I have are more or less out the window. So what I'm showing you here is a pretty shoddy representation of someone who's amazing at piloting, so I apologize. But you know, right away, one of the things you'll notice, you might have seen the tank video too, you can spam your different views to see what's going on, which is super helpful. You know, this is a super new bombing run. Great guys can basically bomb you out of the sky. You know, they barely leave the clouds. I'm definitely not one of those people. What I'm doing right now is called loop bombing. And one of the reasons why flying these planes in 42 is difficult, it's harder probably to see from the screen, easier to, you know, if you're actually feeling it. But they have momentum and they have speed. And that's one of the things that you lose if you're in a jet plane. You know, basically anytime you see a jet plane on the screen, you basically are granted this ability to slam the brakes on in midair and then, you know, hit your afterburners and you're fine. There's no, like when you're dogfighting in this or bombing or doing anything, it's, you know, it's just basically it's an art. It's, you know, trying to manage your speed and your shots and things like that. Like, should I take this shot? I don't know. You know, if I do, I'm going to lose a whole bunch of speed, and that's the whole thing. Like, you know, anybody can go on a bombing run and destroy a tank, but not anybody can go on a bombing run and basically not die afterwards as a result of losing so much speed and altitude. And that's what made somebody absolutely amazing. You know, they weren't even really easy to pick up, but they were phenomenally hard to master. You know, most pilots were good enough, including myself, to more or less one-shot every single tank, and the planes were a little bit overpowered. Well, actually, a lot bit overpowered, but once people became amazing with them. I don't think EA ever understood fully how people were able to get, you know, they never understood how good people ended up becoming with planes. So, but anyway, I don't really have any footage of other planes to contrast this against, just other my experiences. Even in Battlefield Vietnam, that's the way the jet planes were. I'd imagine they're going to be that way in Battlefield 3. You know, more or less anybody can pick them up and fly them. So, a little depressing, but that's kind of the way the games seem to be headed. You know, once again, take a look at the screen. There's so much less going on. Not necessarily a good thing, but I don't think just throwing shit in for the sake of throwing in is a good thing either. I think that I definitely want to see games evolve as time goes on. I want to see them get more complex. Here's an example of what happens when you go up and you don't manage your speed. You stall out. You will never see that in a game ever again. Luckily, I was high enough where I was able to recover. Not a big deal. Anyway, so like I said, I want to see games evolve. I want to see them become more complex. But like I said, not a huge fan of wanting to see them get more complex for the sake of getting more complex. It doesn't necessarily add anything. You know, when games just have a smorgasbord of bullshit going on the screen. It has to be there for a reason. It has to add something. It has to give the game value. And that's not always the case. So, hope you liked what I showed you guys today. A little something that, you know, thought would be kind of fun. So, stick around and stay tuned for more.